Hello, one and all, to everyone out there. I hope you had a to all of our American listeners out there, I hope you had a great 4th of July.
That's right.
To everyone else in the world, I hope you had a great Thursday. But it is now Sunday as we record.
It is Sunday.
This. So
and it wasn't just, it was also National UFO Day on the 2nd.
That's correct. So I hope everyone had a very fun and safe America's birthday party.
Yes, we had fun. We can see 2 fireworks on our balcony. So,
nice.
Yeah. We came home early and then watched 2 of those. Because you know how in where we are, like all the cities are so close to each other. We could have seen more actually that were over the horizon, but yeah, because they're so close to each other, each small city has its own fireworks.
Right. And you can I remember doing that one year for 4th of July, went way up in the hills and watched the fireworks like down. It's like this city, and that was pretty cool. I was able to catch some fireworks at I won't say where it is, never mind. I was just barely able to see them from where I live. But I did hear a lot of fireworks.
Oh my God, yeah. How are the dogs?
It's just
it was nuts.
Yeah, it went on.
Our cat, instead of being scared, was like curious and wanted to go outside and check it out. I'm like, what is wrong with you? You are not normal.
You should talk to my brother about his new cat. He's traveling with his girlfriend, and he sent us a text that his cat had its first successful hunt because they're out in the jungle someplace. Apparently, it brought back a huge bug. He said it was like half the size of an iPhone, which is not.
Oh my God, that's gross.
Yeah, that is not my territory at all.
Oh no, man. I mean, it's pretty much a rainforest, isn't it?
Yeah, as far as I can tell. Yeah, I was like, I want to go visit, and then I heard that story. I was like, I want to go visit a lot less now.
Especially that it's bugs. That's right. You can't stand them.
It's kind of like Australia. I went to Australia.
Vietnam. Oh, you went there? Yeah. How was it?
Well, it's the same story as Vietnam. Less so. Okay. So when I went to Australia, I was 17. We did go to the Great Barrier Reef. Not a whole lot of bugs there, and fortunately didn't see any crabs or lobsters or other bottom feeders. But the rest of the time was spent in like big cities around other people where bugs and animals don't tend to hang out, you know?
Oh, okay.
Same with Vietnam. But there were several trips out into the jungles of Vietnam, but I don't remember seeing any bugs.
Interesting. Okay.
I did drink moonshine on one of our expeditions. It's one of those things where they ferment like dead snakes or spiders, and then they make moonshine out of it. And I drank some of that. That was okay.
Oh, okay. Was it strong?
Oh yeah. That's the one and only time in my life where I took one shot of something and then immediately I'm like, oh, okay, I'm drunk a little bit now. Like usually it's like, you take a drink or a swig and you go, oh, burns. Yeah.
Right.
And then it's like, woo, okay. But that was like immediately, like I felt it go down and it was just like, whoa, oh God.
So it's made out of bugs instead of, I mean, you said snakes, and
I don't know if it was truly. I'm trying to remember. This is
maybe it had snake venom
a decade ago. There was definitely snakes and tarantulas in some of the ones they were making, and I think there were bugs in some of the other ones. And I've also it's not tequila. What's the drink where it's got the worm in it?
Oh, mezcal.
Yeah, it's a mezcal. Yeah, I've drank the worm before.
Yeah. Oh, that's disgusting. Yeah,
I did it in Mexico.
Of course.
Yeah.
But that's because it has absorbed all the alcohol in it, right? So it's like really strong.
I guess I don't know. I think that's more of just like a funny thing to sell to tourists or people who don't know much about alcohol.
Yeah. Mexico's full of that too.
Yeah.
So they used to have like even cigarettes, like fake kind of cigarettes, and I fell for it when I was a teenager. I think it was like chicken shit or something. I'm like, oh, look, it's chicken shit.
Oh, God.
It was just normal cigarettes.
Awesome. Well, today we've got a very special episode. It's episode 79, I believe, correct?
Yes, we're 79.
79, and we are going to cover the Belgium, what do you want to say? UFO?
The Belgium UFO Wave, they call it.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're going to do a deep dive into that, and then time permitting, we'll do some updates on what's going on in the UFO world and other anomalies.
And you did clue me in before we started recording that a lot of the videos we're sharing today are in French.
Yes, unfortunately, I mean, yeah, but they do have closed captions, subtitles, so we will be able to read it for our listeners. And it's because I wanted to go to as close to the sources as possible instead of secondhand sources.
Which are right. That's exactly what you want to do as a researcher.
Right. So I guess starting out. Wait a minute. Here it is.
You want to dust off the old golden pipes, the AKA voice acting skills, and we can turn the audio off and just pretend to be the people. No, I'm kidding.
Hey, we can.
We definitely can try for a couple.
Yeah, we could.
All right.
Now this.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, so this is a summary report on observations of 30 to 31st March 1990. Summary of the official report by the Belgian Air Force regarding the UFO events of March 1990.
Now, I don't know much about Belgium. I think I've eaten a Belgian waffle before.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But and it is in France.
Well, no, it's a small country by itself.
See, I told you.
But they speak French.
That was the joke I was going to make.
Oh, okay.
Just didn't. And then I said it, and I go, no, that just makes me sound really stupid. But yeah, they do speak French.
They do speak French. A lot of the international organizations are in Brussels, right? I think I'm not going to say European Union because I know the European Union Bank is in Germany, but is it European Union? Wait a minute, I'm going to look this up now.
And don't you have several people in your life? Well, I guess that know French.
Yes.
Did they get their eyes on this at all?
Did they what?
Did they get their eyes on this at all? Any of the videos?
No.
Okay.
Belgium, is it EU? I think it's EU. Belgium is a member. Okay, no. Anyway, small country. There are a lot of international organizations in Belgium. In Brussels, Brussels is known like headquarters in Brussels. But the official languages in Belgium are Dutch, French, and German. Look at that.
And just to be clear, Belgium is not a city in France.
No, it is not.
I'm asking you.
Right. Its capital, Brussels, is also the de facto capital of the European Union itself. Okay, I was right. Hosting the official seats of the European Commission, the Council of the European Union, and the European Council, as well as one of 2 seats of the European Parliament. So
now I don't like Brussels sprouts. Does that have anything to do with what we're talking about today?
It must come from there. If it's called Brussels sprouts. So you're not a big fan of Brussels sprouts?
No, I hear they're healthy for you, and that's not part of my diet.
Well, yeah, they're not that great tasting.
No, they're awful.
All right, so let's get into this. So we can go first with the background.
Sure. 1. Starting early December 1989, the BAF, Belgian Air Force, has been contacted on several occasions by eyewitnesses who observe strange phenomena in the Belgian airspace. On some occasions, they describe the phenomenon as a triangle-shaped platform up to 200 feet wide with 3 downward beaming projectors hovering at more or less than 100 meters above the ground and making only a very light humming noise. Scary. We've covered these triangle UFOs a lot on the show. Yeah. They seem to be the most sinister of UFOs. Yeah. Some witnesses saw the object departing at very high speeds after a very fast acceleration. All observations were made in the evening or during the night.
Yeah, pretty much the same thing. Let me go this one. The radar stations, which had been alerted by eyewitnesses, could not definitely determine a correlation between the visual observations on their detection on radar. On 2 occasions, the BAF scrambled 2 F-16s during the evening hours. On the first occasion, the F-16 arrived plus minus 1 hour after the visual detection. Nothing was observed. On the second occasion, pilots could identify a laser beam projector on the ground. After investigation, it appeared, however, that the description of the observations totally differed from the previously described phenomenon.
Okay. Wow. Number 3. Consequently, the Belgian Air Force, anxious to identify the origin of the phenomena, authorized F-16 scrambles if following conditions were met. A. Visual observations on the ground confirmed by the local police. B. Detection on radar. And these are the events. Do you want to just go one and one?
Yeah. Okay, so you want me to start?
Sure.
Go.
No, you go.
All right, so on 30th of March, 1990, at 11 p.m., the master controller of the air defense radar station of Glons received a phone call from a person who declared to observe 3 independent blinking lights in the sky, changing colors with a much higher intensity than the lights of the stars and forming a triangle. Meteo, I guess meteor conditions, were clear sky, no clouds, light wind, and a minor temperature inversion at 3,000 feet.
The master controller in turn notified the police of WAVRE. Did that say what that is short for?
Yeah, waiver. I don't know what that is.
The master controller in turn notified the police of waiver, which confirmed the sightings at plus minus 11:30 p.m. Meanwhile, the master controller had identified a radar contact at about 8 north. What is it? 8 nm north. What is nm?
Is that nautical meters or something?
Nautical miles?
Nautical miles, maybe, yeah.
Anyway, he identified a radar contact at about 8 nm north of the ground observation. The contact moved slowly to the west at a speed of 25 kts.
Knots. Knots, right? Is that knots?
I believe that's knots. 25 knots and an altitude of 10,000 feet.
Not very fast.
It's interesting, though, but it seems to be that the observations on the ground aren't matching what they're seeing.
Yeah, on the radar.
On the radar, which is very bizarre.
Yeah, because it's farther away than what people are witnessing. But maybe they're not being accurate, the witnesses on the ground.
Very could be. I mean, I don't know if you've seen any of those studies about eyewitness testimony, but eyewitness testimony is some of the least
reliable.
Reliable, yeah. And they talk about it in court cases all the time.
I mean, I would mess up someone's shirt all the time, or eye color even, We just fill in the gaps if we're not really paying attention. So the ground observers reported 3 additional light spots, which moved gradually with irregular speeds towards the first set of lights and forming a second triangle.
Wow. At 11:30 p.m., a second radar station situated at plus minus 100, I'm going to say nautical miles from the first, confirmed an identical contact at the same place of the radar contact of Glons.
All right, so then after midnight, 2 F-16s were scrambled from Bufchain Air Base and so Waiver might be a city. Anyway, Air Base and guided towards the radar contacts. A total of 9 interception attempts have been made. At 6 occasions, the pilots could establish a lock-on with their air interception radar. Lock-on distances varied between 5 and 8 nautical miles. On all occasions, targets varied speed and altitude very quickly, and break locks occurred after 10 to 60 seconds. So they would have a lock, and then they would break. Speeds varied between 150 and 1,010 knots. At 3 occasions, both F-16 registered simultaneous lock-ons with the same parameters. The 2 F-16 were flying plus minus 2 nautical miles apart. No visual contact could be established by either of the F-16 pilots.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, just after midnight, so clearly it's dark.
Right,
their computers on their planes are getting contacts, but they're not seeing them with their naked eye, which is to be expected.
Right.
Were we on number 9? I thought we were on the one before.
Yeah.
Okay. You're right. The F-16 flew 3 times through the observation field of the ground observers. At the third passage, the ground observers notified a change in the behavior of the light spots. The most luminous started to blink very intensively, while the other disappeared. Yeah. Consequently, the most luminous spot started to dim gradually. So I'm trying to picture this in my head. So these people on the ground are looking up in the sky, and they see these 3 bright lights in the shape of a triangle. Right. They call this Air Force Base. Air Force Base scrambles the F-16s. Oh, also, so they call it in the Air Force Base. Air Force Base says, we have something on radar, but it's not what you're saying it is.
Right.
Scrambles F-16s up there. The F-16s are seen flying from the ground observers,
right,
in the area where the lights are, but obviously the pilots are not seeing the same thing that the people on the ground are.
Weird.
So weird. Yeah.
So meanwhile, the head of the police of Wavre had alerted 4 other police stations in the area, all 4 separated by plus minus 10 nautical miles from each other, confirmed the visual observations. So the police are seeing it on the ground as well.
Wavre could also be pronounced Warv, like Brett Favre.
Maybe, yeah.
Anyway, the aircraft landed at 1:10 in the morning. The last visual observation was recorded at around 1:30 in the morning. And these are the conclusions. The Belgian Air Force was unable to identify neither the nature nor the origin of the phenomena. However, it had sufficient elements to exclude following assumptions. Balloons. Impossible due to highly variable speeds, confirmed visually and by radar.
Good.
ULM, same as for balloons. What's ULM?
I have no
Unmanned,
luminous. I have no idea.
Maybe
RPB.
maybe like lights from the ground. ULM.
Maybe
Under light. Who knows? And then I don't know what RPV is.
Would that be remote pilot vehicle?
Oh, there you go. Couldn't have been them because they had hovering characteristics. The phenomenon did.
Yeah.
D, aircraft, including stealth. Same as for RPV, no noise. They did say there was a light humming, though, but aircraft, obviously, we all know how loud those things are.
Exactly, yeah.
Laser projections or mirages, unlikely due to the lack of projection surface, no cloud.
Good point.
Okay, so that's what this is the thing I thought ULM was. Never mind, ULM is something else. Light spots have been observed from different locations. Light spots moved over distance of more than 15 nautical miles. Form of enlightened part of spots has been observed with spectacles. Laser projections or mirages cannot be detected by radar. Very good point. And it's signed W.D. Brower.
Colonel, I guess.
That's a title. Colonel V1 SBH.
Is that ultralight material?
Oh, good call. Yeah.
Same as for balloons. So yeah, same.
A lot of sense. Yeah.
Like trash, basically.
Right.
Okay, and it can't have the variable speed. So that's out of so basically it's none of these. So it's got to be something else. So that's from the Air Force report, and there's this one, a news report about it.
So how do you want to? Is this one in French?
This one is not. This one's in English.
Okay, all right. Then I'll save my question for one of the French videos.
Okay.
Perhaps the most convincing evidence for UFOs can be found in Brussels, of all places. For a period of about 2 years, the whole country was affected by a wave of sightings. They'd been seen by witnesses, the police, and by local radar stations. The Belgian army was forced to take the claims seriously. They allowed their F-16 fighter aircraft to be involved in trying to intercept these UFOs. They had the full backing of the chief of the Belgian Air Staff, Colonel de Brouwer.
Initially, we thought...
Oh, that's the guy who signed it, de Brouwer. So that's this guy right here.
I nailed it.
You did. Good one.
That some of these observations were caused by atmospheric interference, such as weather conditions or electromagnetic interference. But later on, we found out that at certain moments, indeed, we could relate one visual observation with one observation on the radar. And of course, then we said, well, to have a confirmation, it may be very useful to have an additional observation from an aircraft.
The aircraft were deployed as part of a routine training program. Most times nothing was seen, except on one particular night.
The night of 30 and 31st March, we had an observation on the radar, and in addition, a visual observation on the ground confirmed by the police. We decided to send 2 airplanes in the air around midnight.
This video of the F-16's radar track of the object showed the performance of a vehicle of a totally unknown origin. The Air Force were at a complete loss to explain their findings. A press conference was called.
What these pilots detected was well outside the normal flying envelope of an airplane. Sometimes they had what we call lock-ons, which gave a parameters varying from speeds between 150 knots till 990 knots, an acceleration which occurred in a few seconds.
The Americans denied it was a secret spy plane, so could it have been the first official contact with an alien craft?
These speeds would be impossible to tolerate for a human being. That's a first point. A second point is the visual observations always describe a system, a machine, which hangs and hovers above the surface at quite a low altitude without making any noise. Now, with the current technology, that will be impossible.
So far, the Belgian authorities have refused to announce any official conclusion to subsequent investigations. Could it be the Aurora? Is it likely a UFO could have come from a faraway galaxy? After all, it took us 3 days just to get to the moon.
Yeah.
That was great. I forgot to introduce us at the beginning of the show, by the way, but we can move past that. I just, it's interesting. They keep coming back to like the spy plane stuff. Oh, it's a spy plane. It's probably a spy plane.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know, because we've talked about humans co-opting alien technology. He's got a point, but so based on the technology at the time, as we know it, or as well as we're told, I mean, he's right. There's no way they could be moving that fast. You'd be turned into paste on the inside of the ship.
Yeah.
But if we have some sort of alien technology that negates that inertia,
in gravity,
on the inside of the ship, then it's possible. Then maybe it is some sort of weird American spy plane that's been built using alien technology. But I mean, that's a lot of leaps, to go through to make this some sort of American spy plane, especially.
And why Belgium? And why over 2 years?
Yeah, that's a very good question.
And I looked up like when was the EU formed, and it was formed in 1993. So just a few years after that.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if it was something like that where I don't know, where they're trying to convince them that you do need an EU, makes you stronger or more powerful. I don't know. It's hard to say.
But again, though, that's such a like if you're trying to convince other countries that they need to band together, I don't think having random UFOs show up in your backyard is the way to go about it.
Yeah, and again, why Belgium, right? These flaps that happen, these waves that happen, there's got to be a reason. Maybe they were moving some arms over there, some nukes or something. Something they were interested in something.
Yeah.
I wonder if we can hear U.S. moves nukes to Belgium. Let's see if there's anything about that.
Could have been preparing for fighting the Soviets.
Yeah, or it could have been the Soviets. U.S. speeds up plans to store upgrades nukes in Europe. So, all right, so we are storing nukes there.
Well, it just says Europe. Does it say Belgium in particular?
Let's see, Belgium 1990. Or wait, it was 89. Nuclear sharing. U.S. nuclear weapons in Europe. Yeah, nothing about Belgium. Let's put Belgium between quotation marks. Because, I mean, why else would they be over that?
Yeah, I don't know. That's why I don't think this is some sort of American, unless it's, hey, let's test this aircraft and we know we can fly over Belgium and France and, all these people who are not actively hostile to us, and just see what the response is if we put our new tech up in their skies.
Belgium and other members of the military alliance store U.S. nuclear weapons. All right, but maybe there's some angle here, especially during those times. What's this? This is 2019. Blah blah blah. I don't see anything but in the 1980s. In the late 1980s, the Belgian minister acknowledged the presence of U.S. nuclear weapons in Klein Brogel, which lies some 90 kilometers northwest of Brussels, near the Dutch border. So I was in the late 1980s, so around the time this came up.
Okay, so maybe it does have something to do with nuclear power.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think, like, why Belgium, and why for 2 years? Well, this is for the F-16 pilots. I think this one's in French.
Okay, so my question was, how do you want to approach this?
I guess we can turn down the volume and then read it, right?
Yeah, let's see if that's doable.
Okay.
So yeah, like you said, this is one of the F-16 pilots who witnessed. We had a lot of talking about the credible witnesses talking about the UFO wave in Belgium.
Exactly, and these are the guys who went up on the plane, so we want to hear what they saw.
Right.
In 89, 90,
oh,
we had
English.
a lot of observation from the ground. A lot of people saying we had a lot of observation.
All right, there.
In 89, 90, we had a lot of observation from the ground. A lot of people saying strange things in the air. And the Belgian Air Force already scrambled 2 times F-16 to observe what the people saw from the ground.
Wilfred de Brouwer, a colonel at the time, was officer in charge of operations.
Some people saw very strange objects in the air.
Oh, never mind. So this one's in English. But there are other ones coming in French.
With a very peculiar behavior. They called the police. The police confirmed the observation. They called the radar station of Glon, and Glon confirmed that they saw a blip in the area. And that was also confirmed by another radar station, which is about 100 miles away. Based on that, they asked to send these 2 aircraft in the air.
Exact position of the mission. So that night we had a scramble with 2 F-16. I was one of the 2 pilots, so I was leading the pair for that mission. We had a lot of information coming from the ground, and those people could basically inform us about the exact position of the UFO.
Ground radar observed a blip which was moving very fast from an area south of Brussels towards the east. The aircraft were in the near vicinity and, of course, tried to detect that particular object. And the 2 aircraft confirmed that they had a lock-on which showed the speed of 700 knots, around 700 knots.
The F-16s had repeated locks onto the UFO, but as they closed in, it changed direction and speed with extraordinary maneuverability. The pilots had no doubt that the target was real.
We had a different radar contact on the target, so it happens at least 3-4 times, where we could acquire a radar lock-on with the F-16, and we knew that at least 1 or 2 times we had exactly the same contact as the one which was on the screen on the ground. It was accelerating very fast, so it was going from 50 knots to more than 1,000 knots. It was really climbing and descending very fast, and it was changing, heading abruptly. And most of the time it was even flying supersonic.
The Air Force never did make direct visual contact with the UFO. Exactly what the target was remained a mystery.
I don't think it could have been experimental aircraft. First of all, we always look to the United States. They could have been doing experiments here. I don't see why they should be doing it in Belgium in the first place. Secondly, they confirmed officially that it was not them. We had an official declaration of the ambassador here. And thirdly, the performance of this system was such that it could not be related even to an experimental technology.
It was not a prototype, and I don't really believe it was a meteorological phenomena at that moment.
There's not much left, and one could refer to an extraterrestrial observation or vehicle, if you want. And I think that's an option which, or an assumption which should not be excluded. I'm not saying that it was an extraterrestrial, but it is an assumption that should not be excluded.
One of the many witnesses at the time was Colonel André Armand, a civil engineering officer in the Belgian army. In December 1989, he was driving along this road at night when he saw 3 rectangular panels of light moving slowly across the sky.
I saw the yellow panels beyond the trees there, flying till the trees there. And the yellow panels change into a white light. And this white light was coming down to me. At this moment, my wife told to me, André, come, we must go now. Because when you see such big light coming to you, that's very strange to see that. And my wife said to me, André, we are going away now. This light.
We are going away now.
Still,
I mean,
such a creepy story.
Yeah, it looks like they're scanning for something, right? They have their lights on and so something's up.
Disappears, and I saw only 3 yellow, white, smaller lights, triangular. The center, the red light, pulsing, always pulsing. And this object was flying away very, very fast in this direction.
In the following months, there were many similar sightings of a strange triangle of lights, not only in the countryside, but also hovering over the rooftops in the center of Brussels.
Oh, God.
Marcel Alfarano, a shopkeeper, managed to capture it on his camcorder.
Whoa.
It happened at about 2:20 in the morning on the night of the 31st of March. I took my camera and I went upstairs. It was at that moment that I saw in the distance 2 lights. They were bigger than car headlights and they were slowly coming towards me. They were moving very slowly, high above the rooftops there. And as they got closer, I could see there was a 3rd light behind the other 2. They stopped over there. I realized it was not a plane. It was something bizarre, something unrecognizable. Later, some people from the government phoned me and they say I should not get too carried away. They said I should say it was a plane I had filmed.
We saw a big object in the sky which we couldn't identify. It had very powerful.
So see, even with this guy, they told him like it was a plane that you saw. So that just adds to it right there.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't see anything else. That was a plane.
Don't ever talk to the government. Anyone who sees UFOs or aliens, don't ever talk to the government. They're not there to help you.
And this was before I think the triangles were a thing, right?
Right.
Yeah. But the timing is kind of crazy because they were talking about the Aurora back then and other classified stealth programs that the U.S. had going on. But yeah, like the other guy, the colonel said, why would they be testing it over Belgium?
Yeah, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
No, it doesn't. And I'm wondering if they were remote vehicles. And here's this guy is another, I guess, colonel or police officer. Let's see what he says.
Lights which directed at the ground. In 1989 and 1990, there were numerous sightings of a UFO in Belgium by more than 2,000 civilians and numerous police patrols. It was a triangular object with 3 lights at the top and 1 in the center. It was flying silently at very low altitude, just above the ground. This photograph of the object, complete with thermographic analysis, is a filmed sequence. Belgian military aviation authorities have officially joined a collaborative study of the case. After ground radar revealed the presence of the object, some jet fighters were scrambled to intercept the UFO, but without success, because the object performed some incredible maneuvers, demonstrating it was in some way guided. Was it an experimental military aircraft, like the stealth bomber? The US government has denied this possibility. The stealth bomber is also noisy, and the question is, why would a foreign experimental plane fly at low altitude over a densely populated area? Belgian Air Force General Charles de Bruer held a press conference on the 18th of December, 1989.
We saw that part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's the same. That's the same one. So it's still weird. I mean, they still couldn't see with their eyes when they got up there, which I don't understand.
Yeah.
Like, how can people on the ground see it and radars see it? But then when you get up there, okay, but their radars were still locking on, but then their eyes can't see it.
Well, and the radars are showing contacts in different places.
Right, and then and what about the airplane like the F-16 radars, because they were locking on to something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why I don't think this is some sort of stealth Aurora bomber. I mean, because specifically not the Aurora, because the Aurora is pretty loud. And
right.
So yeah,
and we didn't have drones back then. I mean, we could have. I mean, I read reports of us having kind of drone or remote control aircraft in the 60s. But then those would make noise,
right? Yeah, I don't know. This is a bizarre case. This is really cool,
and they were big too. So it can't be small drones. These things were, at least 30 feet in diameter. It looks like,
right?
Not diameter, but 30 feet long or
wingspan.
Yeah, wingspan. So here's the ones in French. So I don't know how we're gonna do this. I guess reading it.
Belgian residents on what they saw during the UFO flap. Well, let's try it. If we don't like it, we can just summarize the video.
So there were 2,000 plus of these that saw something happening. All right. So wait, let me get it down more.
Can you back it up to the very beginning?
Yeah. I like on mobile, you can go back like 30 seconds. Desktop, you can't.
And then at that moment, the object moved forward. And we clearly saw that there were two big headlights. I estimate them to be about 1 meter in diameter.
Oh, that's fast.
And then it passed just above us. I think we could not have seen it better. And when it passed, we clearly saw that it had a triangular shape. And at each end, there was a red-orange flash. There's a picture of it.
Yeah.
New woman. And so I approached the window and I looked at this thing going over my house. So it happened here right above your house. And she confirms, yes, really above the house. Slowly, yes, very slowly, and then without noise. There was no noise at all. And it looked pretty big. I had the impression that it was covering the two twin houses.
Whoa, that's big.
So it's a big UFO. Another picture. Wow.
Triangular.
New person. Yes, the thing opened up this way, if you will. So there were the wings, which we saw gray metallized and slightly bent, and then lots of little dots that came out. Woof. And at that moment, I said, Valérie, try a little to follow. Shoot, I missed that last.
The trajectory.
The trajectory, and I identify this thing that we see. Because I focus on the bulk, I would really like to see what happens with this opening. Nice little photograph there, diagrams where the UFOs were going. New speaker. Did you talk about it quickly enough to your friends? Or did it bother you to talk about it? It bothers me because it took time. It took me a good week to decide. It was a nurse who was treating my grandmother, So she insists a little. She gave me the phone number of SOBEPS. That's an acronym for something. SOBEPS, the Belgian Society for the Study of Spatial Phenomena, has collected the testimonies of hundreds of Belgians who still have not returned. The investigation network was, let's say, a little dull because there were very few phenomena to collect. And then, of course, these events broke out on the 29th on the Penn side. It was really unbelievable the number of information that fell like an avalanche on November 29, 1989 in the Liège region. More than 200 people saw pass just above them massive triangular objects. Wow. Large as houses. Flying at very low altitude, slowly without noise. And capable of very abrupt accelerations. Wowzers.
Seriously.
In a year, there will be nearly 1,000 independent observations of each other that have made it possible to reconstruct the movement of the objects. At the SOBEPS, the investigation reports accumulate, as well as the drawings of all styles, representative of a very, very varied audience. But the eyewitnesses are not alone. The F-16s of the Belgian Army have recorded unidentified echoes on their radar screens. Following the testimony of a policeman who saw strange lights in the sky, they took off on the evening of March 31st, 1991. At the press conference that followed, the military will admit that every time an object was located, it was well located by one of the radars, it instantly changed flight direction. Wow. And disappeared from the screens. Here he is again, De Brouwer. But there were several moments when the radar of the Glon observed something. And the pilots themselves recorded something on the radars. I could have finished that sentence. Here's the radar screen of an F-16 that we kept the recording. The horizontal line in the center is the horizon. This isn't really a radar. The central W is the F-16. This isn't really a radar screen, by the way.
Oh, it isn't?
No, this is
the
like
F-16 one.
Yeah, it's like where the pilot sits. This is their heads-up display.
The HUD. There we go. Yeah, heads-up display.
Yeah. So that W in the middle represents the wings of the craft. That flat line is the horizon. So he's pointing directly at the horizon right now. That white dot is an unidentified object, and I believe that square above that is the radar or the targeting system trying to target that white dot. This is from playing video games.
So this would be the lock on. So if you get that on there, it locks onto it.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, in this screen, it should do it automatically because you're trying to get your nose, the W, basically on the target, and that square auto connects to it.
Okay.
That is to say, at 2,300 meters of altitude and its speed, 1,400 kilometers per hour. Yeah, that's what those numbers represent.
Okay.
In 4 seconds, the object has lost 1,000 meters of altitude. We see this very common in UFO sightings.
Yeah.
Its speed has exceeded 2,000 kilometers per hour. This brilliant acceleration exceeds all known aircraft performance. Now he's turning. Boop. Woo.
Blinks. It's blinking.
Came back. We came to this is De Brouwer again, came to the conclusion that the behavior was not quite conventional. No kidding. Not quite conventional. This is also the case for UFO photos, like the one taken by a witness the day after. That famous evening. It is a professional photographer who went to the places. Luckily, a UFO is just walking silently and slowly at 300 meters of altitude. Obviously, there's some translation stuff. Our photographer who drew the scene afterwards takes a picture. But when we discover the picture, there will only be a tiny light surrounded by a pencil stroke, so it is cheating. Did some witnesses go too far?
Oh, saying that they faked it,
or they just they get really excited about something and it turns into a cultural phenomenon.
Right.
I'm not sure I buy that so much. However, few jokers can make small models fly as big as houses. This looks like some sort of RC flight club. Using an example of what this possibly could have been. They're showing videos of like a witch flying. It's obviously just like a paper thin drone thing. RC. More serious hypothesis of planes like the B-2 or the F-117, these stealth planes for whom to cheat the radars is a child's play.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, end of sentence, I guess. We're looking at what's the B-2?
Or is that F-117? Yeah.
Yeah, and they're just saying that the F-117 resembles a triangle, especially when seen from below, but it's kind of a triangle, it's like a triangle if you took a couple bites out of one of the sides.
Yeah, and it doesn't have those lights. All right, so that's basically showing the F-117. And on the bottom, it doesn't have 3 lights.
No, it doesn't. And it's not as, maybe it is as big as 2 houses. I don't think so, just judging on. It's obvious. It's clearly a big plane. Oh yeah, here we go. That's definitely what it is.
Right. Good job.
Thanks. You get to do the next one. Yeah.
Oh god, I get to do the physics ones. Oh,
I can
man.
do it if you want.
Okay, yeah. So this is.
Do we have to do all 8 minutes? Because that was.
No. I think that we can just do this. How long does this guy go for? Oh, he goes for a while.
All right. Well, let's give it a shot. Let's give it a shot. If I mess up, just hit play. I want to see if I can do it without you pausing it.
Oh, okay.
I think that is above. It is above all because the phenomenon, first of all, has not been studied. And this is Professor Auguste Messa, 1972, in the same way that one can study something else. All right, I already screwed it up. I got caught up on his name. If you go back to the screen where his name was, he starts talking again. Here we go. In the same way that one can study a scientific phenomena in the laboratory. He's just saying they can't be studied in such a way that one can have graphs, repeatable experimental measurements. It is a phenomenon that never repeats itself. That must be taken as it presents itself. The starting point of a scientific study is to collect the data and to see if there are correlations between them. How is it, new speaker, how is it that in today's society, in relation to this problem, we want to do this?
Cover your eyes.
Cover your eyes. That I do not understand. That the military have their interest in it, that's clear. And that now maybe they're going to muddle things up because it's getting a little hot for them. It must be interpreted. It's not difficult. But if these are really intelligent civilizations who have had the possibility for a long time to visit the Earth, they are not in a hurry at all. They are not in a hurry at all to shake the hands of the current president of the United States of America. This is a slow provocation, on the other hand. That would be what would be logical is that they give us enough signs, sometimes provocative, for us to think about. And sometimes there are heavy things. These mutilations of animals, some say it's not benign. There are other things. I heard from a representative of Brazil last week. Virginia. I don't have all the details, but the bodies were examined in a hospital. We have a lot of information. Of course, it doesn't go through the media, but I think it's not by chance either. we have allowed certain things to happen to see what's going on. And I think the Belgian variant is interpreted like that. It's not because of the motorways that are lit in Belgium. That's not their business. But in Belgium, you have all kinds of international organizations.
Yep.
Like the European Union.
Yep.
You have NATO.
Oh, NATO's there.
For them, it's interesting to see what happens. In the Belgium wave, something very quickly at the beginning, when the media were not yet involved, it was remarkably coherent. I was very surprised. Could it have been like Aurora? Questioned by the reporter. It makes a lot of noise. Aurora. This is a question that I discussed with the one, De Brouwer, who is now general, who is in charge of the Belgian Air Force. I said, but how can we know if it's not secret American stuff that's flying around here? So he told me quietly, first of all, it would become a diplomatic incident because they have to ask for permission. Yep. And for a good reason. Let's suppose because it's quite absurd to do experiments here when they have large areas in the United States, large in the U.S. In a country so populated as the Belgium, they have to take into account, because they are not angels, they have to take into account possible accidents. So they had to warn the Belgian Air Force, which monitors the sky, the police, etc. We had to have a structure, even if it was very restricted, to be able to intervene in the event of an accident. There's nothing like that. On the contrary, when we officially asked the American embassy, they denied it. And there was an article in the newspaper where it was written, your UFOs are not our F-117s, because they were people, obviously. It was not Aurora at the time. It was the F-117. But you see, the technique is always to say something that is secret, that we cannot control. That's it. That's not an explanation. It's what we call an unknown variable of adjustment. Yes, that's it. It's an interesting mental act to say to yourself, and if it was that, what would be the consequences? But then you have to be logical and say, here, the consequences would be that. So he's basically coming on, he's going out and just saying how ridiculous of a theory that the Americans were flying the F-117s airspace, because that's what he's talking about. We say, you got to make sure the police know, your military knows, because if there's an accident, that's an international
incident. Yeah. And diplomatic incident.
Exactly. Yes.
It's interesting. He said before the media came in, so he's saying that media basically came in and started whitewashing this, or
shocker.
It's F-117. That's the Aurora. It's something secret. And he's like, that is not a way to explain this away.
Right. Smart guy. The first point is that they certainly could not do this in secret. This is a question of fundamental logic, plus the fact of going to experiment in Belgium. In addition, they were already engaged, or were beginning to be engaged in the Gulf War. We are not going to fly around like that in a friendly country in this way. This is completely crazy. But it is a hypothesis that some people object a lot to. Why? Because it cannot be extraterrestrial. So it can be anything you want as long as it's not extraterrestrial. Yes, I like that. I don't know, but we live with that. We've lived with that in the past with a lot of other things. There were people who didn't want to know anything, as they said, man descends from apes. It's a little bit more complicated than that. But that was the idea. That's the impossible thing we're fighting against. You have to let time pass, as Planck said. Sometimes generations have to die so that young people who find it more natural to have objections that disappear. An example, there was an observation where an object like that There was a violent wind. It was a storm. It was going against the wind. There's another observation. You have an object. It will show like this. He's holding his hand straight up. It is a triangle that stands vertical.
Whoa.
And it rotated around its axis. So that's really amazing. If Aurora or an F-117 or whatever craft could do that, no, it's just not realistic. When we deal with the scientific subject, there is a scientific debate, and everyone has to submit to that. That's the rule with the referees in the review. That's how it is. And I said in my texts that if a scientist has an amateurish objection, they say it. And what is important is that there is room for mistakes. Everyone can make a mistake. But we can't stay in the past. So if we see that something is wrong, I have to say it in French. We have to correct it. That's the ethics. Very smart guy, and that is a theme we have talked about. That was Mason Auguste.
Yeah, professor of physics.
We have talked about that mindset a lot on the show, where people go, "Oh, no, that can't be true," because we know, we know humans only came out of the mud 10,000 years ago. We didn't use tools until 5,000 years ago. Oh, there's just no way. There's just no way.
Yeah, exactly. That narrative, pushing that narrative.
Yeah.
Or that paradigm, and they don't want to rock the boat. When people's like realities change, it's just a shock.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they like. They want to keep people in. Like you said, anything but the whole extraterrestrial thing. I mean, now it's anything but extraterrestrials. They're talking about cryptoterrestrials, and
right,
and which is probably true too. Living underground in the oceans, in our. I mean, that's been just clogging up the news cycle. By the way, is that Harvard report, which we covered 2 weeks ago. But I get these reports, every day, and it's still that every single outlet is covering it. So that makes me weary when every single media outlet is covering the whole crypto-terrestrial thing.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
Yeah, and so there was some argument that, if we keep pushing this crypto-terrestrial thing, we are actually giving the visitors an excuse to have a claim on some land, something like that, because that they were here before us. Kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
I always thought that was a really dumb argument. If you can find one piece of the world where the victors of some battle didn't set up, point me at it. They always go, "Oh, they're colonizers. They took over." Like, where do you think the people came from before this?
Exactly.
I don't think there's a single race of people that came to an uncharted territory, took it over, and never have once had to fight someone for
defend it. If it's defended, it's part of being human and property anyway. Like, your property will be taken over if you don't defend it,
right?
Kind of thing.
I mean, and unfortunately, that's just the way the world works sometimes. Like, hey, if you lose this piece of land, you can fight to get it back, but it's not yours anymore. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you lost it in war.
Lost it.
Yeah.
It sucks, but that's just how humans work. Like I said, there isn't a single piece of world here that hasn't been conquered by another group of people. That's just human.
That's one argument I don't like from the Israelis. Like, they just say God gave us this land. Just say you won it in a war.
Yeah,
you took it over. You won it. It's just what happens in war. People lose land, and throughout history it's been like that. But for some reason, they just won't take that stance. They have to make it like this whole.
You don't get to just go, "Oh, we finally got it. Okay, everyone stop fighting us for it because we got it now. It's ours."
Yeah,
you got
right,
it.
and that's right. Exactly. No,
you can't take your ball and go home.
So, what do you think about this? I mean,
I think
there was something that came out. I don't know why it wasn't on here, but one of those pictures, the one that showed like the craft, and it's like it's a little bit fuzzy. Apparently, the photographer came out and said he faked it. That was fake. Yeah.
Shame on that guy.
Yeah,
or he was paid to say that it was faked.
Or that, yeah, exactly. We just saw that other guy who took the video of it. When he called them, they told him you saw an airplane.
Yeah, and I mean, at some point, imagine you're a Joe Schmo and you've got proof. You have definite proof of UFOs and extraterrestrials, and you're making $50,000 a year, maybe you've got a couple kids and a wife, and then knock, 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 here comes the government. They put a gun up to someone in your family's head and they say, you didn't find anything to make UFOs real. You just saw a plane and made up a story. You go, yeah, of course, that's what happened.
Yeah, you're not going to risk your life just for that. Who cares?
Exactly.
Not worth it. But I mean, very interesting. I think there's something very serious about it, especially if it's not the U.S., could have been Russia doing it, but why for 2 years? It's too risky. They could have risked nuclear war.
I think this Auguste guy, I think he had a really good point to that. He's saying that these UFOs or extraterrestrials, whatever you want to call them at this point, they're not like itching, champing at the bit to come shake hands with the president. They're playing the long game, and so they just, and I've heard this theory before, and I love it. They just plant little seeds here and there amongst the general populace. Hey, there's life out there. Hey, your history is a little bit different than you think it is. Hey, you know what? The universe a little stranger than you once believed. You plant enough of those seeds, and eventually you have a forest full of people. And that's kind of what he's saying too, where as the older generations who are so stuck in their ways go away, you've got all these young people who are full of new, once controversial ideas, who can take the helm and say, okay, we're ready now. We're ready to meet you and hear what you have to say, because we won't just shoot you dead. We won't fight you. We won't get mad or sad because you're telling us something that we didn't know about ourselves.
Yeah, and that's a good point. We're still dealing with that. Our leaders, most of Congress, the presidents, all of them, they're like in their 80s, so like they're not handing over the power to the younger generations, which have grown up in different circumstances with different technology, with different data and information and movies and those influences, where they're more open to these ideas, where it's not just insane to say stuff. So that's why you see people like Luna in Congress. She's really young, and she talks about even interdimensional, and she goes far down that route. While the older guys just won't, and a good example is I don't know how old Mike Rounds is, but Mike Rounds was one of the ones that stopped the UAP Disclosure Act.
So great guy.
Yeah, great guy. So, and here in this clip, this was taken in June. They asked him about the NDAA and the UAP, and he's basically saying, according to D. Dean Johnson, he goes, "There's no conspiracy here to hide anything. We just want to get the facts out. There are some things that we just simply have not explained, and it might be simply because not every department in our government knows what other departments are doing."
And the reason
same excuses.
When it comes to Congress, the right hand always knows what the left hand's doing.
Exactly. So this is him in that short clip.
Yeah, and the reason that we put it in the first place was to say we're looking at everything. When the House took it out, that was one of the concerns that we had, was people would say you're hiding something, and we didn't want to do that, but we thought we're including everything. There's no conspiracy here to hide anything. We just want to get the facts out, but we want to do it in such a fashion that we don't disclose some of our higher end and very sophisticated platforms that we just simply don't talk about.
So do you anticipate any more, disclosure type legislation in that vein coming up soon?
It most certainly will consider it. We've got another NDAA coming up. This is something that passes every single year. It's not out of the question. Arrow right now is putting together, that's as your viewers know, that's the Air Force's response, or the Department of Defense's response to looking at these unidentified aerial phenomena. We've already read their first report. Their second report will be due out over the next couple of months. And I've had a chance to go through the classified version as well. There are some questions in there that I have, because there are some things that we just simply have not explained. And it might be simply because not every department in our government knows what other departments are doing.
So the DOD doesn't know, and that's what sucks. So that makes no sense, because the DOD is supposed to be in charge of all those programs. They're supposed to have all of the clearances to make all the investigations. So that doesn't make sense for them to say that. I mean, obviously not everyone in the DOD knows what's going on, but at least the ones that are tasked with finding out should know.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
But I mean, we're in 2024 now. We just did the Belgium UFO Wave, and that was in 1989, 1990. So you're talking about 34 years ago. 34 years ago is when that happened, and they're still saying there's nothing, no conspiracy here. There's nothing going on, and that it could be our secret stuff. So it's the same old excuses, same narrative. How do they do it? Just do they? All these guys give like one piece of paper and say, "All right, these are your talking points. You can't say anything else."
Yeah, I think it's along those lines, or it's more sinister where, hey, this vote's coming up. How are you going to vote? And they go, well, I'm thinking about supporting it. And they go, all those times you spent hanging out with Epstein, you wouldn't want those to be released, would you?
Oh yeah, there's that too. I mean, the intelligence community just runs everything.
Yeah.
So, and I guess Rounds actually he is the one who supported it. So because he's a senator, this guy's standing around. So he said the Congress are the one that gutted it, and he goes, "It's too bad because now everyone thinks we're hiding something."
Right. Well,
yes, of course. Did you see this huge UFO?
I did.
Rare footage of the truth. Giant UFO caught on camera by the International Space Station. The diameter of the eye of a developing hurricane is 20 kilometers. So the size of the giant UFO is 2 kilometers by comparative calculation. How can something that big be in our skies?
The universe is a strange place, man.
I mean, there it is.
Yeah. Clearly a bird.
Really huge bird.
I want to send you. I don't think I sent it to you for some reason. Did you see the other ISS video that came out this week? I think maybe you sent it to me. Maybe I did send it to you. But you can hear the astronaut. It's a Russian astronaut, and I think a German one, a male and a female. And something zips by the ISS, and she freaks out. And the male astronaut tries to calm her down. You know what I'm talking about? Did you see that?
No. So I put ISS UFO. Let's see, latest. Is this one? ISS station captured a cylindrical UFO and it disappeared into space. That one?
No, I don't think so. Let me see if I can. Here we go.
Massive UFO. NASA can't explain.
Astronaut panics on comm feed after a UFO UAP passes near ISS.
Oh, you got it.
I'm going to send you the link right now. So it's a Reddit thing, but you can also do the daily. All right, I just sent it over.
Nice. So this happened this year, or like?
Let me find out. I don't know when this happened, but I saw this posted a week ago.
Was heard saying "Oh God" in a panic on a live NASA feed as a UFO flew past the International Space Station while the Soyuz spacecraft she was in docked there. The UFO can be seen zipping by in the background. Then moments later you hear Samantha.
Oh my God.
Далее около 25 при скорости минус 0,12.
Oh my God.
Далее около 25 при скорости минус 0,12.
You can also hear her Russian colleague trying to calm her down.
I believe this happened a while ago, but I just saw this story pop up 6 days ago.
So we have Russians on there, or is this the Mir space station?
So if you look actually back up, no, this is the International Space Station. If you look back up, you can see the CC thing on the screen right now, like on the
their screen here.
Yeah, see on the outside of that, that's the Russian. Docker, and so she's Italian, I believe, and then it's the Russian guy who's going shh, 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 calm down, or whatever he's saying in Russian.
Yeah, wasn't she briefed?
You think they? Yeah.
These are crazy.
Ooh, this is crazy.
Yeah, Manitoba, Canada. Strange bright. Manitoba. Strange bright unknown objects spotted in the sky over Winnipeg River. New York Post.
Okay. I don't want to be. You know what? I'll hold judgment until the whole video plays.
Okay.
It was brighter. Two bright lights way above the tree line on the south shore.
I mean, looks like fishing boats for now.
I guess that must be. Is that Towers B? Look, there's another one there.
Oh.
Never mind. Two doubles?
Yo, I think we're seeing some aliens. For real. I'm trying to zoom in here.
Trying to zoom in here.
Come on, zoom in.
He tried. He doesn't have a good enough camera,
There's
and it's no lighting.
It's like a camcorder.
I'm walking towards it.
That is bright.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, never mind. From like when you had it paused, it looked like there were streaks behind it, but that was just video artifacts. And so I was like, I don't want to be that guy, but this looks like an asteroid breaking up. But then after watching the footage, now I definitely don't think that's what that was.
Large sun-like UFO spotted in Canada. I think we're seeing aliens. What's this guy saying? Maybe they answered my call. All right.
Not a lot of traction.
No. I think it was a lot. The New York Post one. If they did it, they probably have more interaction.
Anyway, people are seeing crazy stuff all around us all the time. It's wild.
Yeah, there's a cigar-shaped one also. That was in an air show. They always go by air shows.
Yeah, they want to see what all the hubbub's about.
Or playing.
Yeah. That thing had to have been moving.
It caused the pilots to lose control.
Well, yeah. I mean, how fast would that have to be moving? This looks like old footage, like from the 90s footage or early 2000s.
Oh, yeah.
Even the news that there's video.
So 90s probably. Yeah, look at that. They ejected.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it could be. Is that a missile?
I don't know. I feel like it'd be super obvious if it had been hit by a missile or something. But I mean, those planes are going fast, and the fact that they've got 3 separate frames of that cylinder flying by that plane means that thing was hauling. But
why would they just take out an airplane like that? Weird.
Yeah, but I don't think they're taking out the airplane, not on purpose anyway.
Just playing with it.
Could be. I mean, who knows? Who knows what an alien truly is thinking at this moment? Maybe this is their way of trying to communicate. They see a bunch of humans looking at planes and go, oh, these humans like planes. They must worship the planes. The planes must be their gods. And then they go and try and hang out with the planes and then accidentally crash them. Sorry for killing your god, humans.
What was that movie where you thought cars were the dominant species? Oh, yeah.
Hitchhiker's Guide.
Hitchhiker's Guide, that's right. He got hit by the car.
Yeah.
This happened in Red Rock.
Red Rocks. It looks like a spaceship. UFO claims from staff at famed Colorado concert venue hovered in place for 30 seconds. The latest reported UFO sighting came out of Red Rocks Amphitheater in Colorado and was witnessed by at least 12 people.
All right,
K
that's good
News,
amount.
or News with a K, has learned that the disc-shaped dark metallic object lingered for about 30 seconds a mile from the observers at an hour past midnight before it disappeared. I've always wanted to go to Red Rocks. I think it looks cool, but I'm not a big concert guy, so mixed bag there.
Oh, you're not? You don't?
No.
I guess. And Red Rocks usually, I think it's rock, right? Usually.
Yeah. Or it could just be like, yeah, I think it is mostly like rock. According to the National UFO Reporting Center, the anomaly measured 100 feet long, hovered above the trees at the open air arena, and was seen to have lights. When it left the area, it was noted moving eastwards at a speed between 5 and 10 miles per hour. I don't know
Not
how
too
you would
fast.
judge that.
Yeah.
We saw a large disc-shaped craft Not crapped. We saw a large disc-shaped craft with 3 levels of windows. It hovered silently and then disappeared into thin air, a witness noted. Another witness says, I was working at Red Rocks Amphitheater last night when one of our coworkers suddenly said to us, hey, what is that over there? It looks like a spaceship. Is that an actual photo?
No, I don't think so.
We all turned to look in the direction he was pointing, and sure enough, there was a UFO hovering about a half a mile to a mile north of Red Rocks. A dozen of us saw it. We all kept asking each other, are you seeing this too? It was a resounding yes from everyone in the group. Huh. Very cool. It's pretty rare to have, well, it's not that rare, I guess, to have multiple witnesses see the same craft and see the same shape craft.
Yeah, I would say it's just, it doesn't happen too often. Usually it's just one person or two together, but not this many.
I remember there was, I can't remember what the UFO sighting was. I can't remember. I watched this documentary years ago, so it just popped into my head.
Yeah.
But the guy who was leading the documentary was trying to explain how a UFO, it wasn't necessarily a change in shape, but because the story was 2 guys on the same ship, like a boat, saw a UFO fly past the boat, and they both were adamant about that. But when it came to describing the UFO, it was similar but slightly different. And the guy in the documentary was trying to prove like just the angle of sight would change how you saw the UFO, especially with how weirdly shaped they are.
Yeah, and especially, and they do morph, and if there's a field around it, it could distort how you see it. So this guy goes on, he goes, the observer, clear on what they saw, said this was not a plane, it wasn't a satellite, drone, or anything like that. There was no mistaking what this was. We all saw a giant disc-shaped craft hovering a few hundred feet above the ground with 3 rows of windows and lights. So people are in there. If it's remote, it's not going to be any rows of windows.
It just is odd to me that they would need windows because they're, I don't know, they're aliens. I mean, hypothetically, you'd think they'd have a way to observe what was going on outside of their crafts. So I don't know. But of course, Betty and Barney Hill saw windows too, so I could be way off there. And so did the guys at Skinwalker Ranch, the family at Skinwalker Ranch, I should say.
Oh, okay. Then we all saw it fade into nothing as soon as it knew it was being watched, as usual.
Very common.
There were a dozen other people who saw it with me. All right, this goes into the National UFO Reporting Center. Now, there is supposedly a video of what they saw. So this is from Think Tank on X. He said something went down near the theater in Colorado. That is an F-22 with afterburners. Oh, he's joking. Mass sighting was around 1 a.m. Look at the timestamps. All right, so here's the video.
That doesn't look like 5 or 10 miles per hour.
No,
that's a
hell
hell
of a
curveball.
Now, these shows, they do have drones, a ton of them.
Yeah, that looks like a drone more than I think it looks like.
I agree.
The witnesses described it hovering there, and then once they all noticed it, it was there for just like what they say, 10 seconds, and then it kind of faded away. This looks more like a drone to me.
It does act like a drone.
And it doesn't. It moves way too fast for what they're referring to. All the witnesses said something different.
I guess here he's mapping out all the military vehicles around there.
Have you looked at have you ever used that app before?
What is it? Something Aware, right?
I think it's called
Flight Aware.
Radar. Was it Flight Aware? Flight Radar. I used to have it on my phone because I'd go outside on break or whatever, and I'd see a plane flying overhead, and where I work is pretty close to a military base, and so I always track up what was flying overhead on my phone. It was kind of fun for a little bit, and then you realize, like, what am I doing?
I mean, if you want to make sure what you're looking at is not a plane, that's a good way.
But I mean, it's always really obvious that it's a plane.
They even have apps for satellites, so you can look up in the sky and make sure you're looking at a satellite. Even supposed secret ones, they're tracking those as well.
Interesting. Yeah, a couple of the flights I tracked, like, see how this one says BLV to COS, and like lists a type of plane. Like the ones that you see that are military often don't have any designation that shows up on my little free app.
Like this one, NA. It doesn't even show what it is.
It won't say where it's from and where it's going like all the other ones will.
United States Navy. Interesting. All right, so there was a lot of activity.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I appreciate the effort that they're going into trying to figure out what things are.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if 12 people saw it, it just sucks. Everyone's got a phone at these events or binoculars or something. So it's weird that, I mean, that's the thing, right? It notices and it's gone. You have 30 seconds or less to take out whatever you have and to make sure you're stable and stabilized enough where you can take a good video of it.
Well, and once again, here we are, nighttime. You're filming a light in the sky. You're not. How many times have we seen that footage? It never turns out to look any good.
No, it doesn't. Man, you see those P900 or P9000? The Nikon.
Is that the one where like all the videos start off with like, oh look, it's people on the beach, and then it zooms out and zooms out and zooms out, and it turns out whoever's using the camera is like 500 miles away.
Yes, that one.
Yeah, that's sick.
So I mean, that'd be great to have in any of these things.
Yeah,
but they're expensive.
Oh, obviously. For sure.
They're probably like $1,200 or something.
SpaceX targeting July 31st for launch of historic Polaris Dawn astronaut mission.
Yeah, so it'll be the second space flight for the billionaire Jared Isaacman, but it is the first commercial space flight mission with a spacewalk. So that's this month.
Pretty cool. Polaris Dawn, part of a private human spaceflight program funded by a billionaire, Jared Isaacman, will launch no earlier than July 31st. Man, these freaking billionaires, take me with you.
I know.
Send the cool people up to space.
Exactly. Like normal people, not billionaires.
Did I tell you this is only tangentially related? You said regular people. I have an idea for a debate where you've got your two primary opponents, right? You got Trump, you got Biden, and you just have a third person you picked up off the street.
That's great, actually.
And all three of them have to answer the same question.
Yeah, because I mean, the other two probably have an agenda. And there's probably an overarching agenda. But if you bring some normal guy out from nowhere, what are you gonna do? Brief him quickly?
Yeah, no. Just say, what are your thoughts on the war in the Middle East? And Trump will talk about protecting Israel, and then Biden will talk about protecting Israel. And this guy will be like, I've never been to Israel. I don't think I'll ever go there. But maybe we should not let them kill a bunch of Palestinians. What?
Funny you say that. It's a funny clip I've queued up. That's pretty much exactly what you said. All right, so while people are going through war and starvation and whatever we are going through down here, we have billionaires going up just for a spacewalk. It's like literally like just jumping into the ocean and diving.
But this guy so much cooler. So much cooler than jumping in the ocean.
And could you imagine the entire planets beneath you while you're out there? I mean,
that's why I love watching ISS videos.
Yeah, have you ever watched the IMAX ones? Because they took an IMAX camera once. Did you watch that?
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
Dude, yeah, so cool. So apparently there's a new one.
For a long time, I can't remember how I did it. It's too complicated. I figured out a way to make my desktop screen the feed from the ISS.
Ooh, like a live feed?
Yeah, because they've been doing the live feed from the ISS for like longer than 10 years now, I think.
Right, yeah. And have you heard they're crashing it? I don't know when, but SpaceX got the contract.
Oh, did they say what the timeline on that's going to be?
No, and now there's an effort to make them stop doing that.
Well, it's old now. I mean, they got to retire it somehow, and you can't really take it apart and ship parts of it back down the well.
No, I mean, it's a bunch of space construction companies now, so they are planning lots of stuff in orbit. Like 2001, or could be all lies.
More like 3001 at this rate.
The crew plans to conduct the first ever private spacewalk with bespoke SpaceX spacesuits made for the effort, along with a raft of experiments. Polaris Dawn's orbit will take the mission about 435 miles, not bad, above Earth, in the highest altitude crewed flight since the Apollo moon missions of the 1960s and 1970s. Wow. Yeah, of course.
Wait. Just go back up really quick. Hold on a sec. For comparison, so what'd you say they're going to be up 435 miles or 700 kilometers above Earth? For comparison, the International Space Station orbits are roughly 250 miles or 400 kilometers from Earth. So they're way beyond that.
Oh yeah. They're
well, I
up
guess
high.
in space, 200 miles is really a stone's throw.
I mean, space officially starts at 100 miles.
Is that true?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Or is it even 60 miles? I think it's 100 kilometers.
Because
I remember my daughter at school was telling me that they learned that that if you take a car and you're going 60 miles per hour and you're going for an hour, you'll be in space in an hour.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Let's drive our cars to the moon.
Soon enough. So Polaris will be the first of trio missions, all funded and commanded by Isaacman. I mean, this guy is like he's spending his money.
Oh my God! He didn't just fly himself to. He literally flew himself to space. What a dick! And by
I haven't even heard of this guy.
I'm just jealous of him.
Of course,
I haven't heard of him either.
Aside from Isaacman, the mission includes retired United States Air Force Lieutenant Colonel Scott Kid Poteet as pilot and mission specialist, Sarah Gillis and Anna Menon, both SpaceX operations engineers. Cool. He should have fun.
Yep. Let's be sure to make sure he waves to us on his way to Mars or whatever.
I mean, something else. July. Oh yeah, next week is the MUFON press conference about that material that they supposedly tested and lost. Man, of course they lost it.
Unbelievable.
Have you heard about this in Montana? Ancient Montana.
You sent it to me and I watched it and was like, whoa, but I had not heard about this. Sage Wall in Montana.
Yeah, it looks like Machu Picchu.
That's pretty cool.
Which is really far away from Montana.
Of Montana in the United States, we find this remarkable structure known as the Sage Wall. This imposing megalithic wonder is composed of massive polygonal granite stone blocks, intricately stacked and aligned in a perfectly straight line that extends up to 275 feet in length, which is around 84 meters, although it's believed that it extends additionally underground. Its height reaches up to 25 feet or 8 meters, with the largest of the stone blocks weighing 91 tons. In fact, it is believed that the structure continues an additional 15 feet beneath the ground, making it around 40 feet tall if fully excavated. The wall's unique features, such as its straight lines and angular formations, set it apart from the natural geological formations commonly found in the region. The granite stone blocks appear as if they were cut, stacked, and pieced together like a puzzle, with each block interlocking with the next one. It's known that granite does not split into 90-degree consistent corners and angles, which made many researchers believe this could be some sort of prehistoric megalithic structure. The reason you've likely never come across or heard of the Sage Wall is due to its location on private land, rendering it virtually unknown to the scientific community.
Oh, that's a shame.
The landowners themselves, Christopher Borton and Linda Welsh, were unaware of the wall's presence for many years. Nestled on a mountainside, the wall was concealed by a dense canopy of fallen trees and thick foliage that had covered it for centuries, if not millennia. This natural camouflage made the wall nearly impossible to detect, especially since very few people had ever set foot in the area. The site of the Sage Wall was first discovered relatively recently. It came to light when the landowners decided to clear a portion of their property that had been heavily forested and covered with dense foliage for centuries. As they began clearing the fallen trees and thick underbrush on the side of the mountain, they stumbled upon the wall-like structure. This accidental discovery revealed the previously hidden and virtually unknown Sage Wall, prompting further investigation and interest from both the landowners and the scientific community. The wall's precise interlocking stones bore a striking resemblance to ancient polygonal masonry found in other parts of the world, such as the megalithic walls in Peru, Egypt, Turkey, Greece, Easter Island, Japan, and many other places around the globe. Does this mean that the Sage Wall of Montana is one of the many prehistoric megalithic sites destroyed thousands of years ago by an ancient cataclysm? Of course, most people dismiss the site as a natural formation. But how could this be a mere natural formation when it's clearly seen that the wall is perfectly straight-lined?
Yeah, there we go. More evidence of our ancient past and our.
You know what? And what's crazy to me is it's becoming more and more obvious that our planet is probably filled with sites like these that either will be just destroyed because, oh, who cares? It's a stone wall. Or, some won't even ever be found. They're so buried deep or whatever. Like, have you seen that picture? Someone was they were doing some construction in Italy, I think it was, or Rome.
Or Greece?
Maybe it was Greece, yeah. And they were digging and they uncovered like the original floor from thousands of years ago.
It was Greece.
Like, so cool.
Yeah, and of course Greece is going to have that because it's been occupied for thousands of years. So yeah, apparently whenever they do a construction site, the archaeological whatever department has to first come with them and make sure they're not destroying anything because they've been building upon civilizations for thousands of years.
Yep. Yeah, what's the city? Is it Edinburgh, where it's like you can see the old city from the new one because they built the new one on top of it and then they dug down. I'm like, oh look, there's a whole other city down here. Is it Edinburgh? I think it is.
Is that the Scottish one?
I think so.
Yeah. Edinburgh is the capital.
Anyway, all this stuff is really cool. But the whole time I was looking at this, I was like thinking to myself, I had a movie trailer moment as I was looking at this. I'm like, I wonder what they were keeping out. And then I was like, I wonder what they were keeping in.
Yeah, because it's a wall and it's a huge wall.
Yeah.
So there must have been some world.
I mean, it's interesting. In junior high and high school, we're taught a lot about Native American history, but I don't remember ever. I could be totally mistaken here. I could be totally wrong, but I don't remember ever reading about them constructing huge monuments made out of stone like this.
No, I don't think they have. No, not the ones at least that we found. During the formation of the country.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it was hidden, because we know a lot of stuff was hidden by the Smithsonian, right? Like the giants, giants, all those skeletons they found. So I don't know. Look at that. Japan has it. Peru, we know. Japan, Greece, you just brought it up. Italy looks like also. Turkey, I didn't know Turkey had these. That looks very similar to Peru.
Yeah,
the Turkey one.
Well, obviously, everyone knows about Easter Island. I still get a kick out of the statues. Everyone thought they were heads for the longest time.
And it's so nuts. Isn't that crazy? Like,
it's really crazy.
Growing up, I read all the books, and it's always about the heads, and all of a sudden, all they have to do is dig. I mean, come on.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, and they went all the way. They had bodies, full bodies.
And then their whole thing was like, I'm trying to remember. What was their theory about how they built them? They moved around on logs from other parts of the island,
right?
And then that doesn't work because like the rock isn't the right rock. I don't even remember the whole thing behind it. Yeah, there's a lot of cool mysteries in this world. I totally understand why people get into archaeology, but unfortunately, it seems like archaeology has to pander to the narrative.
Yes, and the ruling class. We have to always say that they are the best. They are the pinnacle of human society, and there never was a more advanced civilization, and never will be.
Right.
As long as you say it that way, you'll do very well. They'll send you grants, and you'll be on TV.
Yeah. I mean, the whole, what's the one, Otapa, Piki Otapu, what's that called?
Oh, yeah. The one in Peru. Machu Picchu. Oh, wait. Göbekli Tepe?
Yeah, Göbekli Tepe.
Yeah, it's Göbekli Tepe.
Göbekli Tepe, whatever. I'm bad at words. But yeah, I mean, look at that. All the weird stuff behind. I mean, like, did you see they demolished a whole part of the ancient structures to build a road and farmland?
Yes.
And stuff? Yeah.
Yes, and they put farms on top. They So ridiculous, just completely covering it up. And it's the World Economic Forum in charge of it.
Exactly. I think we must have covered that on the show.
Yeah, we did. Either last week or 2 weeks ago. But yeah, let's give ownership to the elite that want to cover this up.
And it's all because it doesn't match, what they've been telling us for hundreds of years.
Yeah, what are we going to do about the books and all the government grants and archaeological digs and theories?
Call everyone who reads those things crazy. You're crazy.
Yeah, come on, man. Stop being crazy. Talk about crazy. So there's also from Think Tank. There's a lot more to the Nazca alien story than you realize. This is a book. I'm probably going to get it.
The Nazca stuff came back up in the news recently, like within the last couple of days recently. I'm trying to remember what the hell the story was.
I think
they were having their. Is it that they were having the big table talk about it? What's it called?
Yeah, a panel.
Yeah, weren't they? Or they were bringing the news to the national, international forum. I don't know.
And something about the metal structures inside, though. Like you can't just make those. I forget what it was made out of.
In Nazca, for days, disturbing rumors had been swirling again about the presence of mysterious all-white terrain vehicles with tinted windows. Some spoke about secret services linked to the Peruvian government, even to the CIA. Shocker. They were in search of Mario, and especially of his famous site. A few days after the release of the images of Albert, a certain Erwan contacted me.
I think Albert's one of the supposed aliens.
Yeah. A certain Erwan contacted me via my Facebook page. Very interested in the Nazca affair. He claimed to want to help us to recover material of Mario in the name of Peruvian cultural heritage. Is there like a part 2 to this? Or is it just like everyone's super interested in these remains?
Yeah.
The CIA.
Right. That's what he's saying. That, that CIA wanted to get a hold of these before the researchers could. So this is the book, Lost Paititi and the Non-Human Remains of Nazca by Thierry Hamin. So I guess he's one of the guys that has firsthand knowledge of these mummies. Probably a good read.
Yeah, I'm sure it would be.
And then
one evening, Jamie called me with worrying news. One of his journalist friends in Lima, a certain Joey Mantilla, informed him of the arrival of 2 military planes from the U.S. Representatives of the White House were, it seemed, on board. They had met the Peruvian Minister of Defense about extraterrestrial bodies, and they wanted to recover in the region of Paracas. It was undoubtedly, according to Jamie, about the Nazca affair. Is it Joey or Joyce?
Yeah.
Joyce Mantilla.
Joyce
Mantilla got his information from a very close friend within the group North 8 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, the group North 8 degrees of the Peruvian Armed Forces. These rumors worried me, and I felt even more anxious since the beginning of this story. I kept all the biological material that Mario entrusted to us at home. Jamie urged me to hide these ultra-precious objects without delay before others tried to take them.
Yeah, so the Nazca mummies keep just giving us new truths, especially, why would all this happen?
Yeah.
If there's nothing to them and they're faked and they're hoaxed.
What's that snarky response he gave to that guy? If it's in the book, it must be true. He goes, "Hey, look, someone taking the lowest hanging branch again to escape reality." Yeah, good on you.
I don't know how Think Tank just deals with these people. Like, why even respond to them?
I don't know.
What's the book? Do you have original source? Deleted your post for blatant disinformation.
Clearly, it's getting a lot of pushback on the Nazca mummy story.
It's an easy one to make fun of.
It really is.
Even though they brought in real scientists and took MRIs and they're really investigating, and these guys are like, they're not just any scientists.
Right.
CIA, Smithsonian, hidden artifacts and history suppression vibes. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Good to see. Good. CIA couldn't move enough drugs to fund the archaeological digs in Peru. Good job, Bobby Prescott.
And here's some funny news.
Indiana man pulled over in Missouri in out-of-this-world ride. Steve Anderson was pulled over on Interstate 44 in Crawford County in his custom-built UFO. Good stuff.
So wait, is this it? Is this the video?
I just want to see a picture of it.
Messing with cars with my dad when I was about 8 years old.
It would be easy to typecast Steve Anderson as the mechanic on duty.
Oh, yeah. We got leaks.
But he has never been one to stick to a script. His character is more.
This is something
Columbus.
else.
Okay. I think that was because it said that was Steve Anderson. That's who the article's about.
Oh, okay.
It's just doing a lot of background fluff on him.
Is the artist in residence.
Hey, Justin. Did you know a bunch of girls are here to paint with you?
I bet if he keeps zooming through this, we'll find it.
Driven straight through rural Indiana without thinking about what we're passing by. Without any thought of the work.
Grading watermelon?
Yes.
Get my hat.
All right, so it's an adventure.
You know, there's lots of good engineers that
Keep
design
scrolling through. I bet we find it.
12 years ago.
2. I look at your coaster.
Thought when I built that it was
be there.
It's art. Well, this is the worst video ever. I can't believe they didn't show it.
He's just.
You know, sometimes when you stay on a page, it just cycles through videos. So here, let me try to reload. And then it should be this video then. Here we go.
What's a silver alert? Is that one?
In our Only in Indiana series, we traveled the Hoosier State, introducing you to unique.
Wait, what'd you ask?
Nothing. Forget it. I just saw a weird article on the side, but forget it.
And interesting people. We start right here in Indy, where one local man is out of this world.
There we go. Oh. Oh, come on.
I love it. I come.
There it is.
Finally. Good Lord. That's pretty cool.
It's an adventure every time.
This 3-cylinder Geo Metro that was.
There's no way that's street legal. Oh, it's got the lights on the back.
It's weird and lots of attention.
50 miles per gallon.
It really is weird. It's an automatic. There is a button for warp speed.
Awesome.
Thank
So where
you.
you from?
Mars.
No.
It's all part of the Martian.
It looks cool.
Imagine your coworkers are like, so how was Mars, Kevin?
That's
When
fun.
you think this city
Yeah.
has seen it all, this man-turned Martian lands right in the circle of the Circle City.
Everybody has heard of a UFO, and some people would like to actually climb in a spaceship and go somewhere. I do. Hello,
I do too.
planes.
It's the role of a lifetime.
We come in peace.
In the
I
story,
take it back. There's no way that thing's street legal.
and the script is still playing itself out.
It's boring to be an adult. I want to have fun, and I make myself have fun.
That's the only person I'd ever take my car to go get fixed.
Yeah.
Kevin Rader, Channel 13, Eyewitness News.
All right, so I thought he got pulled over.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Like I said, street legality is a huge question there.
He was also warned about our strict enforcement of warp speed on the interstate to keep his phasers on stun only while traveling. All right, so they were joking around with him.
The police posted a picture posing with him, so they must have let him go.
Yeah. It isn't photoshopped. All right, I'm glad they're having fun. It's boring to be an adult. Yeah, we heard him say that. Video's private. All right.
Cool beans.
Probably on UFO. What is it? International UFO Day.
Mm-hmm.
And here's some news. This happens a lot because we've covered this a lot, where they sell files that they have or folders to someone else, or maybe just give it up for another investigative body to have them instead of someone else. So, massive collection of reports and sightings find a new home.
Yay.
Yeah, Maine's history with unknown flying objects goes back quite far. The state ranks relatively high for the eerie phenomenon.
Nice.
So
Moving to Maine.
decade or so, various publications have ranked the state of Maine pretty highly for an eerie phenomenon, UFO sightings.
But the state's history with unknown flying objects goes back much farther. One famous case is the Allagash abduction. On an August night in 1976, Chuck Rack and his friends saw what they believe is a UFO. Rack also is an artist who turned the experience into paintings. He and 3 friends had been fishing on Eagle Lake. They built a large bonfire in the evening when the craft approached. Rack says he signaled the vessel with his flashlight, and several of the friends say they were abducted.
In November of 1994, people in the Newport area reported seeing unexplained lights. 2 people with no prior relationship described seeing the same thing, a flying vessel which had red, green, and white lights that flashed. And for the last 70 years or so, people across the country have been making a concerted effort to collect more information about UFO sightings. And now much of that information is finding a new home. Reporter Griffin Rushton visited the National UFO Historical Record Center in New Mexico.
How you interpret what a UFO is. Is it misidentification of something prosaic? Is it alien? Is it something else? It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's history.
And UFO record archivist David Marler believes that history belongs to everyone.
Whether you relegate UFOs to fact, fiction, or folklore, it's part of our history, it's part of our culture. And I feel that regardless of belief or non-belief in the subject, we need to preserve this element of our culture.
Marler built an addition onto his Rio Rancho home to house the thousands of documents he's collected over the years. Everything from declassified Project Blue Book files to newspaper clippings and even air traffic control radio recordings.
It's right out of the X-Files. I mean, it's a definite UFO or something like that.
Are all packed inside this small room.
It is essentially a traditional historical archive, albeit dedicated to a non-traditional subject.
And his collection, officially known as the National UFO Historical Record Center, is growing. Marler says more and more archivists are sending him their collections, so everything is under one roof.
It's bringing these puzzle pieces together to get a better picture of what we're dealing with regard to the UFO subject.
We visited his archive back in 2022 and saw documents detailing a UFO sighting near Socorro in 1964. Marler said there was a similar incident near Espanola, but at the time, he didn't have many documents backing it up. Now he does.
And not only are they photos of the landing site, and sketches provided by the New Mexico State Police. Contrary to the Air Force conclusion, they provided no indication that this witness was drunk. They deemed him credible, and they provided all of this additional information, which we never had access to until just recently.
Marler says there's countless connections hiding in his archive, and he's partnering with Rio Rancho Public Schools to let other researchers and everyday people take a look.
They have some open space that they would like to allocate for us to house this incredible treasure trove of history.
Marler says he will start moving his collection into 2 portable classrooms in the Rio Rancho School District later this year. And while it will be open to the public, he says you'll have to make an appointment.
Who knows what the average person might discover? What discoveries are waiting for us in these case files that we have yet to connect the dots?
The real X-Files. That's so cool. I'd love to do that. Just go in there. But what do? Do you randomly do it, or do you go and try to focus in on,
Yeah, that's a really good question. Let's contact this guy and see if he needs help.
I mean, that's a lot of files. I saw some of them going back to the 1800s even.
Nice. Airships.
Did you see this? The living skin?
No, is this what we're gonna start using to like heal people?
No, this is what they want to put on robots.
Oh no.
Yes.
That's way worse.
And it's really disturbing.
Humanoid robots aren't just science fiction anymore. In fact, they're almost ready to enter the workforce. Amazon has been testing out a replacement for its warehouse employees. And even Elon Musk has been toying.
Hey, at least they don't hide it, huh? Amazon's been looking for a replacement for their Amazon employees.
Well, it's true. I mean, we've known that for a while. South Park was making jokes about this like 5-6 years ago.
Oh, South Park.
with the idea.
South Park and Simpsons, they're just, well, Simpsons tells the future, and then South Park just tells you the reality of what's the present.
Yeah, exactly.
Idea of a robotic helper. It's clear we're seeing innovations, even if some may make your skin crawl. The latest coming to us from scientists at the University of Tokyo. They've created a type of skin from human cells, the pink, gooey material, stretching to form something of an awkward smile. It might be unsettling, but it's also a glimpse of where this technology could be headed. Using a special gel loaded with skin-forming cells, researchers were able to sculpt a living layer that adheres to robotic surfaces. And when it smiles, it's not just mechanics, it's biology at work. Researchers believe this technology could enhance our understanding of facial expressions and advance treatments for facial paralysis, while also improving cosmetic and orthopedic surgeries. In the future, stroke patients and burn victims who have undergone major surgeries could benefit from more natural skin augmentations. While it may take many more years of testing for the technology to become an everyday reality, researchers hope it will help make robots in the workforce more approachable. While the commercial viability of humanoid robots like Boston Dynamics' Atlas and Tesla's Optimus remains limited, recent advancements are starting to bridge the gap to practical applications. At Tesla's annual shareholder meeting, CEO Elon Musk proposed that humanoid robots could significantly increase the company's market value to $25 trillion in the future. He also predicted that by 2025, Tesla would have a few thousand Optimus robots operational in its factories. Meanwhile, Boston Dynamics has been selling its robot dog Spot since 2019 and hopes to one day bring its humanoid Atlas robot to market. Maybe before any of these robots get these skin treatments, they consider adding some eyelids if the goal is to make these things more approachable. I'm Kara Rucker. For more news.
At least the first couple versions of these robots with the fake skin, they're going to look like what's that? There's that phrase like when robots are close to what humans look like but not quite, so you can still tell the robots, and it's really creepy.
Not androids, is it? No.
No. It's like a psychological thing with humans. It's kind of like the law of diminishing returns, but that's not what it is at all. It's like something like that. It's like, you can look at C-3PO and R2-D2 and you go, oh, cute robots. But if you look at like the Terminator, that's not a good example. If you look at like this video we just looked at, you go, oh god, that's creepy, because it's like it's close to human, but your brain recognizes that it's not human.
Well, especially Optimus. I mean, it looks kind of eerie, Optimus.
Yeah, but that's Optimus is still what I'm trying to say. This guy
looks like a robot.
Yeah, they still look like a robot, but the first few generations of this human-looking robot is going to be so clearly not human. It's going to be creepy as hell.
Did he say $25 trillion? So the guy would be a trillionaire, basically.
He's talking about the stock.
Yeah, I know. He has a major stake in the stock too. Like,
he's got to be pretty close to being a trillionaire as it is.
Yeah, he's at 250 billion. And now moving on to other news. Two leading Princeton MIT scientists say EPA climate regulations based on a hoax. William Happer, professor emeritus in physics at Princeton University, and Richard Lindzen, professor emeritus of atmospheric science at Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, argued that the claims used by the EPA to justify the new regulations aren't based on scientific facts, but rather political opinions and speculative models that have consistently proven to be wrong. The unscientific method of analysis, relying on consensus, peer review, government opinion, models that do not work, cherry-picking data, and omitting voluminous, contradictory data, is commonly employed in these studies and by the EPA in the proposed rule. Mr. Happer and Mr. Lindzen wrote, none of the studies provides scientific knowledge, and thus none provides any scientific support for the proposed rule. All of the models that predict catastrophic global warming fail the key test of the scientific method. They grossly overpredict the warming versus actual data. The scientific method proves there is no risk that fossil fuels and carbon dioxide will cause catastrophic warming and extreme weather. Climate models, such as the ones that the EPA is using, have been consistently wrong for decades in predicting actual outcomes, Mr. Happer told the Epoch Times. To illustrate his point, he presented the EPA with a table showing the difference between those models' predictions and the observed data. And there he is. And that's the That's the article. It might.
Right.
I mean, so they're probably going to be fired, I'm sure.
Of course.
So hopefully we just stop this nonsense. It doesn't look like it because, yes, more people are waking up to it, but all the money goes into that. And like you said, like these people will not get grants unless they rig the result of the paper that's being funded to show warming or to show catastrophic weather in the next few years. It's 2024 now, and it's the same weather that we were being warned about in the early 2000s, and with Gore in 2012, we won't have ice caps anymore.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty telling that all these people who are preaching about like rising ocean levels are all buying ocean properties.
Yeah, and the banks, are risking all that money and funding those. Like the financial world has its own risk assessments and ways to mitigate risks. Do you think they're going to spend billions of dollars on beach properties which will be gone?
Right.
Yeah. No. So,
go to Google.
Okay.
And then type in Uncanny Valley.
And what's this?
This is the thing I was talking about, where humans.
Oh.
It's the hypothesized psychological and aesthetic relation between. It doesn't matter. That's a whole lot of nonsense. It's people when you can, like, if you click on that chart there. Whatever. We could open up Wikipedia. It's just saying, you've never heard of the Uncanny Valley?
I have not. No.
Huh.
So they're saying it's a Japanese.
I think that's just where the term originated, but it's just when you see a robot, you can go, oh, that's okay. Here you go. That's a great chart.
So it shows human likeness, an industrial robot, humanoid robot, stuffed animal.
But it's on a scale. It's on a scale for affinity, right? So when it's a humanoid robot, oh, cute, stuffed animal, cute, and then when you look at a corpse, you go, okay, there's something clearly wrong here. Because it's not human, but it is human. And zombie, of course, is worse. But a healthy person, you're gonna be like, oh, okay, that's a healthy human. But in that Uncanny Valley, that spot in the middle, yeah, you get creeped out as a human. You've never seen that before.
I see it.
You've seen a robot that is almost human, but you go, oh, there's something wrong here. Yeah,
something wrong. Exactly. So that's what it is here.
So that's why I was saying that with that last article, the first couple versions of those robots with the skin are going to be deep down that Uncanny Valley.
Cool term.
Yeah.
Really cool term. WikiLeaks is back in action. We covered last week that Assange is out. And of course, now this comes out. You want to read it?
Verified document from Israeli Ministry of Intelligence in October 2023 suggests forced... Excuse me, hold on. Suggests forced displacement of Gaza civilians to Egypt would yield positive and long-term strategic results. The advisory document envisions a three-stage process, including the establishment of tent cities in Sinai and opening of humanitarian corridor, followed by construction of cities in northern Sinai, from which there will be no return. Oh boy.
Yeah, so obviously October 7th, and people say October 7th was allowed to happen, and all that, and now that makes sense. If they were already planning this before even October 7th,
yeah,
that they want to get rid of the population of Gaza and put them in the Sinai Desert, which is basically Egypt,
and
in tent cities. I mean, it's ethnic cleansing.
It's exactly what it is.
Yeah, official document. So more proof that what we're seeing is just a planned thing, and there are serious holes in October 7th. And this is what I was talking about when we talked about the debates. So this is Americans' fealty to Israel is embarrassing.
Yes.
Now, I think someone did this. It's not really South Park, but it's
of course,
style. Yeah, South Park style.
Presidential debate. Tonight's format is a bit different.
Now, instead of the usual Q&A about domestic issues and foreign issues, our candidates will instead compete to win over Benjamin Netanyahu, the foreign leader who actually decides elections in our sham of a democracy.
Gentlemen, you have 90 seconds. Go.
Believe me, I'll send you the best, most beautiful weapons, tanks, jets, you name it.
Come on, man. I'll completely defund the ICC and the ICJ. You can't get charged with genocide if there's no group that can if there's no group that can preside over a genocide.
Oh, please, Joe. BB, listen. I'll let you kill thousands of babies. So many babies.
I'll give you my own son, Obama. I mean Hunter.
I'll let you kill Ivanka's children, baby.
I'll deliver baby killing artillery shells, BB. White phosphorus, cluster bombs, all of it.
You know what? I won't just expedite your weapon shipments. I'll let you ethnically cleanse all of Gaza and even parts of Egypt.
I'll make sure that I'll make sure AIPAC doesn't have to register as a foreign agent.
I will invade Iran for you.
I will cancel free speech.
I will kill every student protester in America.
Enough of this metaphorical dick sucking. I will actually suck your dick.
No, believe me, you don't want him sucking your dick. He can't finish the job. I'll suck your dick. Hey.
Oh, God.
Wow, there you have it, folks. Both presidents are literally sucking Netanyahu's dick.
Well, Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East.
That's great, Mr. President, but he likes it when you stroke the shaft.
Cradle the balls.
Oh my God.
Here's another one to keep it going, Mr. President. Good work.
all right.
Yeah, you've seen that. Sad state of affairs.
It's the truth. I know, and they know we know, but no one cares.
It's less about cares. No one can do anything. And they've tricked all these young people into thinking protesting does anything.
Yeah, and that too. Exactly. I mean, if anything's going to work, it's organizing locally and starting from the ground up, and
exactly
getting people that want to put this country first and not international. I guess not strategies, but international.
Globalization,
Yeah, not to focus on what we do for other countries. Like, that's all we talk about. We're always talking about Ukraine. We're always talking about Israel. We're always talking about the EU, and we just never focus on what's needed here. It sucks. Well,
maybe in 2028 we'll have a chance, man. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
never.
We need to vote harder.
Yeah,
I mean, probably less people are going to vote in this.
Yeah, this election is going to be something else. I still don't know what the Democrats are planning on doing with Mr. Biden.
Yeah, there's lots of talk now that he's going to come. He's going to step down, and Kamala, they're actually going to present her.
There's no way. She has worse numbers than Biden does.
I know. She didn't even get 1% of the Democratic vote when it was the primary.
Yeah, I mean, no one knows how to lose elections quite like Democrats do.
Well, we won't hear the end of it if they lose.
Oh my God. I don't like Republicans, but Democrats, everything that they say the Republicans are doing, they do themselves. And then, they put, candidates out there like Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, and they wonder why they lose. Like, it's this huge thing. But it's so funny to me seeing all these articles come out that are anti-Biden from, CNN, MSNBC, and we had no idea about Joe's mental decline. Like, where have you been for the last 4 years, 8 years?
It's really bizarre, man. It's really bizarre behavior. Because I think they believe that Republicans were just making up those videos and lying.
It's just ridiculous. And then they have to do damage control where they throw Biden out on a stage with what's his name and a taped interview with the softball questions. Like, oh no,
yeah, how was that? I didn't watch it with Stephanopoulos.
I watched one clip. I can't watch this. It's obvious that Biden is not there mentally.
No, he's not. So it didn't help at all. So yeah, that new interview actually made things worse from what I saw.
It sounds to me like the Democratic Party wants Biden to step down, but Biden is surrounded by people that he put in place that aren't going to let him step down.
Like his son. His son is apparently consulting him.
His son and his wife, don't forget Dr. Jill, are keeping him in power because right now they're in power. And they know as soon as Biden's out the door, they're out the door too, and hopefully worse. Hopefully we can actually take all the evil stuff that the Bidens have done and actually look at it and say, whoa, this is totally illegal. And actually, if supposedly if no one is above the law, let's actually prosecute people.
Yeah. What did the court say though? Like that a American president does have immunity. So that's going to help Biden.
Yeah, but it's only if it's considered an official act, which everyone is going bonkers about. What is an official act? If you go golfing with the president of some foreign country and you lie on the scorecard, is that an official act?
All right, that's a good point. And another thing they shot down the course was basically how how our agencies make up their own laws without going through Congress.
Yeah.
So
they did shoot that down. That seemed like a good thing to shoot down, and the reason I can tell is because all the Democrats are really upset about that. So I'm assuming it's something that was good for America.
Definitely good, and that means like the FDA, for firearms. It was basically that. It was that one, and then the EPA also. All the rules that they make, all the regulations, they just make up.
It's crazy, man.
All for it, man. Get rid of the bureaucratic state. It's not a bad thing.
I agree. Less red tape, more get stuff done.
Absolutely. So should be interesting. We'll know in about 5 months who's our new president.
Me. I'm gonna get and poor RFK gets shafted every chance he gets. I mean, the Democrats are fighting to keep him off the ballots in swing states. He was not allowed to enter the debate. It's just,
I know, democracy.
Right, democracy.
I mean, it's not like he's. I mean, you're fine. He says a lot of things that are anti-big government that we see. But when it comes to foreign policy, he's just like everyone else.
Yeah, he's still going to kowtow to Israel. We know that.
Yeah, and I think even Ukraine.
Well, on that very fun note, we want to thank you all so much for listening to episode 79 of the Uncovering Anomalies podcast. That is I Have a Need to Know, Adam. And
that was fun.
Is going to tell us, you, the listeners, where you can find us on social media, where you can listen to the other podcasts that we've done.
Right. Yes. Visit us on x.com or Twitter, formerly twitter.com. At UAP the podcast. I'm at Breakaway Civil, and Topher is at Topher It All. So go on Twitter, follow us. You'll find great stuff with UFO Twitter or UFO X, UAPX. There's a lot of misinformation that comes out there, especially fake videos. But still, I mean, there's a lot of people you can follow on there, like Christopher Mellon and all the other heavy hitters in the industry. So hit us up there, start a conversation. Let us know if you want us to cover something. Let us know how we're doing.
Yeah.
And we are on all the podcasting platforms. Leave us reviews. I've seen a couple reviews on Apple, but keep those going. Let us know how we're doing. We're mostly on Spotify, which you can watch this video on, not just listen to it. But you can also listen on most podcasting platforms like Apple and YouTube now. I think it's YouTube Music. But is it Castbox? iHeartRadio still does well. Rumble, hello Rumble. We're getting a good following over there. Yeah, and YouTube is slowly but surely climbing. We're at 60 subscribers now on YouTube. But yeah, slowly but surely over there. And on BitChute, hello BitChute. You guys also watch us all the time. And Odyssey. Other than that,
everywhere.
That should be everything. Yeah, we're pretty much everywhere.
You'd be hard pressed not to find us.
Yeah, and if you Google us, you'll see all those on there.
Sweet.
Which is cool. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Adam. I am Sir Topher of the Great Moon Titan. And yeah, this was fun. This is a good idea, doing the hybrid deep dive and weekly world news.
What do you want to do next week? Oh man, the Phoenix Lights is one, but people.
I think we should keep this. We should talk it off air and come up with a surprise for our audience.
Sweet.
All right, thank you all for listening, and we will see you all next week.
All right, next week.
If we're still alive by then.